Rarely do we think of like all the good things that happen. We're so natural almost to bring up the 5 things that went wrong. What's one thing that went right? When I focus on what's good today, I have a good day. And when I focus on what's bad, I have a bad day. If I focus on the problem increases. But if I focus on the answer increases. The mind is where the battle begins. Right? This is the battlefield of the mind, y'all. This is what we're going to be talking about tonight. This is very, very important. I'm going to go ahead and just share something with you from the AA book. Again, this can be for everyone. I can promise you that every person on the planet needs to work the 12 steps as well, right? It'll be beneficial to everybody. But, man, I don't know about you, but if you ever made it past the basic text, you see all those stories, countless stories that are sitting there in the back of that book. And I've read all the stories. I read the thing cover to cover over, one point or another. And man, I've been to so many speaker meetings. I've heard tons of stories, right? But I'm telling you, none has stood out to me like this story had years ago when I read it. And I've read it a great many times since then. It comes from Acceptance Was the Answer. Interesting. It's one of the only stories we read actually text from, right? We're going to be reading from page 418. And basically, this is what this guy is describing to us. He's saying, it was as if I had, rather than a Midas touch, which turned everything to gold, a magnifying mind that magnified whatever it focused on. Over the years, as I thought about Max, he's talking about his wife next, which again, I looked up in 2023, there was 62.18 million married couples in the USA. So this can apply to anyone as well. He's speaking about his wife, right? Her good qualities, they grew and grew when he first met her. And when we got married, he said, all those qualities became more and more apparent to me, and we were happier and happier. Next, he basically said that this happened to him as he drank more, but truth be told, this happens with time in any relationship, right? It says, instead of continuing to see what was good about my wife, I began to see her defects. And the more I focused my mind on her defects, the more that they grew and multiplied. Every defect I pointed out to her became greater and greater. He goes on to say, I can do the same thing with an AA meeting. The more I focus my mind on its defects, late start, long drunkalogs, cigarette smoke, when we focus on all that stuff, this is what he says, the worse the meeting becomes. Right? But when I try to see what I can add to the meeting rather than what I can get out of it, and when I focus on my mind about what's good about it rather than what's wrong with it, the meeting keeps getting better and better. Amazing how that works. Right? And he goes on to say, I love this line, when I focus on what's good today, I have a good day. And when I focus on what's bad, I have a bad day. If I focus on the problem increases. But if I focus on the answer increases. Wow. My. Guys, we just got a life hack of all life hacks just by reading that in the back of the text there. If we focus on what is wrong with every person, place, and situation, then complaining, talking bad about everything and everybody, and a pessimistic perspective will run rampant in our life. I promise you. All right? But if we choose to focus on the positive and find something that is good with every person, place, and situation, we will think different, and our positive words and positive perspectives will begin to multiply. So let's go over that. Like, it's our free will choice to be able to choose if we want to focus on the positive or if we want to focus on the negative. And whatever we choose to focus on will then begin to magnify and to multiply in our life. And this explains why we can't stand that one person. I know you're thinking someone, right? You know that one where you just think of them and you just start to get all riled up almost as soon as you start thinking about them. You could live with them, you could work with them, they could be in your family, You could be in a relationship with them. I don't know. But what's occurred is they started to rub us the wrong way, right? They started to do some things that started to irk us and get on our nerves, right? And then we started to get upset, and then we started to really focus in on all the things that they do to rub us the wrong way, right? And so, of course, since we're focused on all the negative stuff, then that starts to multiply. Now we start to see all of their shortcomings. Now we start to notice all of their character defects, right? And all the other things that they aren't doing correctly. And eventually, as that festers and grows until, man, at some point, all we do is think about all of that negative stuff when we think about that particular person. And what's funny about that, right, is it really, when we allow that to take place, who's upset at the end of the day? We are, right? Because I don't know about you, but the other person looks like they're having the time of their life. Like, hey, they may not even know that you're mad at them. They're just over there doing their thing every single day, and we're the ones that are walking around upset all the time, right? And I don't think any of us want that to happen. So if the magic magnifying mind that we talked about, that God created us with, is true, well, then how are we going to turn this thing around, y'all, and start focusing on the positive? I want to read that first set of scriptures there from Philippians 4, verses 8 and part of 9 from the NIV. This is a list that God has given us. Says, finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. And when we put that into practice, the God of peace will be with us. Interesting. All that stuff, it's a list of stuff that God's given us. Here's what you need to be thinking about always. Stuff that's true, noble, right, pure, lovely, admirable, right? I love that right there. If anything is excellent or praiseworthy, then now we have the green light to start thinking about that. And if we do that all the time, that's how we're going to have the peace of God with us. And we're not going to be walking around upset all the time like we just talked about. Notice that it doesn't say dwell on that rude text that they sent us all day long. Right? It doesn't mention think about how they tried us over and over again. And then rehearse all the ways that we should have responded and what I should have said to them. Man, if I would have just said that, I could have set them straight right at that moment. This is what I should have done. Right? I don't recall it saying that think about how the kids don't listen to anything that you tell them to do. It doesn't say, man, think of the way that your boss came at you and how much your job stinks and how much you don't like it. It doesn't say, remember the breakup and how that person broke your heart always. No. It says, think about anything is excellent or praiseworthy. What's awesome about this is we have a list to run this by. And I got to do this myself. I start going off thinking about something. I'm like, hold up, like, is there anything good about what I'm thinking about right now? Nope. Is this uplifting them in any way? Nope. Right? Is this excellent or praiseworthy? Absolutely not. Then I shouldn't be thinking about it. Right? And so it's easy for someone to just hear this, right? Like we can preach this up, we can amen, we're going to say we're going to do it, but then tomorrow comes, the stuff we're talking about is hard, y'all. Like I'm always real with this too. Maybe for some of us, it might seem like, man, we're in this too deep already. Like I've been complaining for years. It's going to be hard to turn this around. How do I even begin? Where do I start? And so number 2, to start out by thinking of one good thing about that person, right? Just start out by thinking of one good thing about that person. When reporting a negative situation, report one good thing that occurred. Start small, right? Start small, then work up to expelling all those negative thoughts. But if we want peace, y'all, we cannot be constantly thinking negatively about a person, place, or situation. I'm trying to be real. I'm trying to help you out tonight. I don't want it to be like, how can I never think anything bad ever again, like Mount Everest, right? And we're not told to, let's think about how we're going to be sober the rest of our life. No, let's just think about the 24 hours, right? Let's just start small, right? That person that irks you, because I know you're thinking about him at this point, right? What is one good thing about him? Maybe we'll even pause the message right now. I'll give you time to think about it. What's one good thing that we can think about them? Man, I'm telling you, thank you, Lord, because I needed this. Preparing this message, I had a few people that came to mind, and I'm like, stop this, because every time they brought up, I go off on a tangent. No, what's one good thing about them? They have some good attributes, man. They do. I can think about that and choose to stop thinking about all this negative stuff. I'm putting this into play now, guys, right? I'm talking about thinking anyone that you have said over the past few weeks, I don't like them. Right? I don't know if it's your boss, your coworker, your spouse, your roommate, that person at the meeting. Man, think about one good thing about them. There's something that they have that's good about them somewhere, right? I love this too, man. If asked, so how are you doing right now? Isn't it funny, like, just us as a society, and it's like, if someone says, hey, so how's everything going? I'm so much more apt to bring up, like, the one or two things that went wrong in that last week, right? Rarely do we think of, like, all the good things that happened. We're so just natural almost to bring up the 5 things that went wrong. What's one thing that went right? Right? What's one thing that you excelled at? Think of that situation you want to complain about, and I want you to think of one good thing about it right now. Just start small, right? Even if it's something as simple as, man, you know what? This and this happened, but you know what? At least it wasn't this and this. At least it wasn't super bad. It was rough, right? But at least I didn't lose everything. Like there's still something good about the situation. We can find something to focus on that's good about it instead of always focus on the negatives. You got to start seeing yourself the way that God sees you.
Freed us from the slavery of addiction. Bless us in so many ways.
Like it talks about in the Bible, that unity that's going to bring people to Christ.
When you pray those prayers from a place of desperation.
No matter what is going on in my life, God has this covered.